Well, I find myself strangely in agreement with, not strangely actually, with Deputy Fitzmaurice. We shouldn't have this bill here. We really shouldn't have. And certainly we shouldn't be rushing it this way. I mean, I've learned a lot from Deputy Healy, the various Deputy Healy-Raes and Deputy McGrath and others, and I bow to their knowledge around particular situations and farmers and experience and all those points. I genuinely do. But I equally do believe that the forestry model we have at the moment is a problem. And that's not down to the individual farmers, but it's down to the model. And rushing this through to solve a particular problem, but that could have very significant knock-on consequences, to my mind, is not the answer. It's not the answer. We should be allowed to consider these properly and try and come to a solution that's beneficial to all, right? And that's not what this is about. And I'm not quite sure who's driving the agenda of this, but I suspect it's far bigger players than the players that the Deputy Healy-Raes are representing, to be honest. That's what I think is going on. There's a much bigger agenda. So our Amendment 59 is about ensuring that the Forestry Appeals Committee should absolutely have to, not number one, be tied to a particular timeline, where it hasn't done all the necessary checks required by law that the Minister would be required to check, to comply with, and with EU directives. And that whatever time it takes to do that, that must be done. And that the Forestry Appeals Committee should have the same obligations in that regard as the Minister would, and that are required legally. And unfortunately, sometimes that takes time. But I absolutely, and I repeat, I mean, Deputy McGrath or Deputy Healy-Rae might say, well, it's just not realistic to imagine we could give financial compensation to people who are held up, because I really get that, right? But I think they should. If they planted in good faith, and if their investment is on the line or their employment is on the line, but because of the requirement for proper environmental oversight, they face problems, they should get support from the state. They absolutely should. But I don't think the two should be set against each other, and I think we need that proper oversight, and I don't think we should be tied to arbitrary timelines, as some of the amendments are suggesting we should do.